This new year, it's time to do wellness on your terms. That's where Ollie comes in. Thanks to their delightful gummies, you can actually get a good night's sleep. And you might finally stand a chance of staying focused. Because this is the year of you. Discover Ollie vitamins and supplements. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Hey, this is Joy Taylor, host of Speak on FS1, and you're listening to the Success Playbook Podcast.
What's up, everybody? You are now listening to the Success Playbook Podcast, where we talk about pop culture, life and career success, and of course, we're going to talk about who got dunked on the night before. I'm your host, Chanelle S. Reynolds, and I've been in the sports industry for several years. My goal is to take what I've learned from years of dominating the sports industry as a Black woman to help my listeners defy the odds and level up in life and career. Now, let's dig into this week's episode. Hey, what's up, everybody? You are listening to the Success Playbook Podcast. I am so excited for today's episode. She is royalty. She is the epitome of women in sports. I am truly excited to have none other than Miss Joy Taylor. What's up, Joy?
Hi, I'm so excited to be here.
We're excited to have you. We're big Joy Taylor fans here at the Success Playbook Podcast.
I see that you have some footballs behind you now. I just noticed that.
Yes.
Okay. So I see a Washington logo. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yes. I have my football behind me too.
Can I see your football?
Yeah. So this is actually.
Oh, yes.
This was an extra. We did a girls. Okay. Hold on. No, let me look crazy. We did a all girls flag football camp for the Super Bowl here in LA a few years ago through my foundation, the Joy Taylor Foundation. And we gave these out to the MVPs of the camp. And so we had an extra one made just, to commemorate. So this was our ball. So the Gridiron Girls, Dr. Jen Welter, the first female coach in the NFL for the Cardinals. And so we did it together. So that was really cool. So.
Oh, that's so cool.
Football. Let's see if I can get to stay up there again. Okay.
That's so cool. So the one I have, my 9 to 5, I work with the Washington Commanders. That is from our 2020 NFC East Championship football. So we all got one.
Love that.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, before we jump into the interview, we are going to play a little game of this or that. Okay. Now, for some of our new listeners who may not be familiar, this or that is our opportunity to get to know Joy a little bit better. I'm going to present Joy with 2 different options, and she's going to select one and explain to us why she chose that. All right, Joy, you ready for the game?
I'm ready.
Awesome. So podcasts or books?
Books. I do love a good podcast, but because I'm constantly talking and I'm constantly consuming a lot of media, I consume podcasts more in bites than the whole entire podcast usually.
Okay.
And a book to me, I really don't like to read fiction. So, I have a lot of books behind me, but I really like to read about historical figures. I like to read history. I'm reading a book right now called The Patriarchs, which is a study about the origins of patriarchy. So I don't really read light, but I like to watch my fiction. So I love a really well scripted, well acted, well written, show. So I'll allow myself to consume one reality show or so a year. So I'm being very long-winded here, but the point is, yes, I do podcasts, but I do them more in chunks. I'll go listen to the chunk of the podcast that I want to listen to.
Okay.
And I default to books.
Okay. I'm intrigued by the one reality show a year. What are you watching?
So that's actually not true because I'm starting another one right now. But I watched, what was that show? Love is Blind. So I originally hadn't watched it. I watched the first one like we all did during lockdown, but I had kind of gotten away from it. And then this season, everyone was telling me how crazy it was. And I was like, yeah. And then I was like, all right, now I have FOMO. I've got to get in on the conversation. And thank God I did, because what a drama. But yeah, so I'll definitely consume one of the big Netflix reality shows a year, and then go on to a lot of their fiction stuff.
Okay. I am a Real Housewives girl, so I tune into Real Housewives of Potomac in Atlanta every now and then. So, all right,
I feel like I could pick it up, but then I lose some of the background of the conversation, and then someone's like, "Well, you forgot about this episode." Like, okay, I forgot about that part.
Yes. Okay, awesome. All right, so we learned that you like books. Hot cereal or cold cereal?
Cold.
Okay.
I don't eat. I'm a big breakfast person. Like, I eat breakfast every day. I'm upset if I don't get breakfast, because I feel like the day gets so busy sometimes that, like, you're like, oh my God, I forgot to eat lunch, or I have to eat dinner later now. And like, then you're just hungry all day because you didn't take the time to eat breakfast. So I really love breakfast food. So I eat eggs every single day.
Okay.
And I will do spinach or avocado. Occasionally I'll do cereal if I'm like in a super hurry, but it's cold cereal for sure.
Okay. What's your flavor?
I'll do what do I have? The almonds crunchy one. I like a honey flavored.
Is that honey? Not Honey Nut Cheerio. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I can't for some reason I want to say toasted almond fudge, but that's definitely ice cream. I can't remember the name of it. But yeah, it's like
Honey Bunches of Oats.
Honey Bunches of Oats. Yep. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good choice. Okay. What is your go-to meal to make?
My go-to meal to make would be salmon and rice, and with like some sliced avocado or maybe some other kind of vegetable. I am admittedly not someone who cooks a lot, because it's just me, and I don't like doing all that work for one meal. I'm not a meal prep girly either. And my schedule is just so different week to week. It's hard for me to plan dinners. Now, I make breakfast for myself every day, and, different kinds of breakfasts. And I can cook. All right, yes. Before y'all get started, I can cook. I just don't choose to do it. So if I am cooking for other people, I will either make tacos and have a taco night, where I make everything, or, well, I don't make the tortillas. That's not true, but everything else. Or I will make salmon and rice, and I make like a nice crispy salmon, some fluffy rice, and call it a day. But those are my go-tos.
Nice. Salmon is a podcast favorite here, so that's a very popular answer.
But honestly, I don't like salmon. I'll eat salmon sushi, but I don't like getting salmon from restaurants. It's because I like it to be cooked a really specific way. So I really only like when I cook it. It's very rarely do I eat salmon out. I really have to be in a weird mood.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
What of a quirk.
Okay. Yeah. I love that. Well, thank you for playing our game. We learned so much about you. Yeah. Awesome. So I'd love to jump into your background, your story. So the first question is, who is Joy Taylor? Where'd you grow up? Where are you from? Where'd you go to school? All the things. We want to know it.
So I was born and raised in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I grew up playing sports. I played soccer, volleyball, basketball, and I ran track in the AAU circuit, if you will, of track in Pittsburgh and Pennsylvania. So kind of got into track really early and basketball really early, picked up volleyball and soccer later in high school. But I was always playing sports. I was always outside. I'm 36 years old, so I remember a time before the internet and, was playing video games on Sega Genesis or whatever. So to say, I just didn't have, technology the way that younger people have technology now. So I was definitely always outside doing something, playing some sport, competing in something, racing, whatever. And I really loved football and basketball growing up. And Pittsburgh is obviously a huge sports town. So I grew up watching the Steelers and grew up watching, the Pitt Panthers and local, high school football and sports. So sports were just part of my DNA, my aunts and my grandmother were huge sports fans as well, as most women in Pittsburgh are. So they were diehard Steelers fans. And if we were ever over there and the game came on, like, forget it, we're watching the game now. Everything else is stopping. So that's how I grew up. And, obviously my brother played in the NFL and played for Washington for a year, actually, too. People forget about that, for 15 years. So he was drafted in 97 to the Dolphins. And I was always partial to the Dolphins because of Dan Marino. Dan Marino's a Pittsburgh guy. So just, really grew up around football and sports. And as an athlete myself, I ran track in college my freshman year. After my freshman year, I kind of lost the competitive edge that I had growing up. And also I wasn't going to the Olympics. So I was like, I don't, it's only like so hard you can work when you don't have that insane competitive nature. And you're also, how, limited your career will eventually be if you pursue it. So, but it was the right choice for me. And I was a college athlete for a year and was recruited for track and for soccer and ended up, running track my freshman year. Then I transferred to Barry in Miami and really got into broadcast journalism in my studies. I started interning at a local radio station there, 560 QAM, a sports talk morning show, which going to school in Miami and having a 6 a.m. internship was very interesting. So I was definitely not getting a lot of sleep, but I was there. And then because I was in that building for that internship, I was able to get an internship at the sister station there, which was a music station, Power 96, and DJ Laz had a morning show there. So I got an internship there producing his morning show, which was like a really great background for me because not only did I get the experience of watching how a sports show is made, I got the experience and got to participate more in making an entertainment-based show, which was local, so also still did some sports, when the Dolphins were having a big game or something was going on with the Heat or the Marlins or the Panthers, but it was, obviously entertainment-centered. And now the world of sports and entertainment, there's so much crossover. Mm-hmm. So it really gave me a good base of how to do a show that, it was entertainment first and what that looks like and sounds like and feels like for the audience and getting a background in sports talk as well. And then eventually when I got the opportunity I was a producer for several years, part-time producer, and I would freelance. And when I got the opportunity to host my own morning show in Miami, which I hosted for several years, the Zaslow and Joy show, that was a big part of our show was, you're doing a 4-hour local show. You really have to fill time. And, it's not always the busiest time of year. And so how do you implement entertainment-based stuff for the audience that is, kind of sports adjacent and like can relate to the audience and, produce an entertaining and fun show that brings people into the room. So I did that for several years and then came to Fox in 2016, and I've worked on Undisputed and The Herd, and now host Speak on FS1. So very condensed version of the story, but that was how we got here.
Awesome. And I would love to hear a little bit more about your experiences as an intern. Because when I hear about, people who interned at radio stations in like sports or entertainment, they always compare it to like the Diddy making the band kind of feel where it's like, you got to get it, you got to grind. So share it with us a little bit about that experience. And if you have any funny or memorable stories, we'd love to hear about it.
Oh, I have lots of stories. I interned in 2007, 2008 to 2009, like that window. And we joke about that internship and called it the Hard Knocks internship. I mean, at that time, you were not getting paid for your work. There were actually, quite a few people in the building who were there not getting paid. That's just not the industry anymore. Thankfully, I still believe there is value in doing certain things for no pay, but they generally are associated with the charity or, it's you're shadowing someone for a day. There's not, there comes a point where you need to be paid for your work and that's what it is. You're doing work. But at the time we were not getting paid. So that's one. So, you're doing the internship and then going to school and then going to work at the end of the day and then waking up and doing it all over again. But it was a invaluable experience for me. Like, it changed my life in many ways and gave me, just an incredible, start as far as my abilities, knowing how to stack a show, how to book a show, how to pivot when something happens, how to, be getting over the anxiety of calling, a big talent and asking them, like, are you coming? Just all these like little nuanced things that have stuck with me throughout my career. And those experiences and those internships and those relationships from those internships have helped me in many parts of my journey. So yeah, I'm very grateful for the opportunities that I had there. And I always encourage young people to get internships and to really try to get the most value out of the internship that you can. Don't just show up and be quiet and just, you know what I mean? Just kind of go through the motions, because a lot of internship programs really will not do a lot for you except for add something to your resume if you're not an active participant. And for me, I asked for more responsibility. I was like, I want to produce the entire show. I want to handle everything. And I was given that, that responsibility. So I really learned how to do those things. And, I'm really grateful for those opportunities because they really helped me. There's lots of stories that I could not tell. They're in the vault. But I'll tell you what, when we meet each other. But one really great story, well, very sad story, but had a significant impact on me. One day we came in and, Laz he's a very local guy. He was very ingrained in the community and very interactive with our audience. And that's, having that connection with the fans of the show and the audience is, to me, I think even on a network level, is still very important. It really makes people feel connected to the show. And there's a great amount of equity there because they're the reason why, you have a show. It's people watching the show. So I think there's a respect factor and a relationship between talent and the audience that needs to exist. So anyway, we came in to do the show one morning, and Laz gave me a piece of paper and he said, "Hey, can you reach out to this woman? She's been trying to get a hold of me. We're about to start the show, but can you see, what it is that she needs, what she's reaching out for?" So I went into the other studio and called her, and she said that this past weekend there was a drunk driving accident, and a family had just dropped off maybe the mother or something at work or church, and the father and 3 children were sitting at a stoplight, and a drunk driver full speed slammed into them and instantly killed all 3 children. And they're trying to raise some money for the family to help with the funeral costs at their church. And please forgive me if I'm missing any of the details of the story, but that's, essentially what happened. And she was like, can you just mention it on air to see if anybody wants to donate or help out in any way? And so I said, sure, let me get your information. I'm going to go talk to Laz and, I'll give you a call back. So I go into Laz and in the break and I, tell him what happened. And he said, scratch the rest of the rundown for the show. We're just going to do a phone fundraising for them today. And that's it. That's what we're going to do today. So I call her back and I tell her, and then we just proceed to talk about the story. She comes on air, explains, what happened for the family, and just local celebrities were calling in and donating thousands of dollars. I don't want to misquote anybody that called in. I want to say Pitbull and Timbaland, and people were just driving by the station. They were leaving work on their lunch break to come by and just drop off $5. And, we raised all the money for them for the funeral that they needed. And so, that was like obviously an incredibly sad story, but a story that a moment I always remember, because it really shows the power of doing a show that connects with the community. And people were seriously stopping to drop $5 off. Like, they just wanted to help, just wanted to give something to help this family, because it's just such a tragedy, and it was part of the community. So there's a real power in having those experiences and, learning from moments like that to help shape everything. But
Hey, it's Kaylee Cuoco for Priceline. Ready to go to your happy place for a happy price? Well, why didn't you say so? Just download the Priceline app right now and save up to 60% on hotels. So whether it's Cousin Kevin's Kazoo Concert in Kansas City, go Kevin, or Becky's Bachelorette Bash in Bermuda, you never have to miss a trip ever again. So download the Priceline app today. Your savings are waiting.
Go to your happy place for a happy price. Go to your happy price, Priceline.
But, those memories are really special to me. So yeah, my internships, I mean, the internship conversation is always a very complex conversation amongst our business, and gets people very feisty. But my overall position is get the most out of the internship that you can, because those relationships matter. People knowing what kind of work ethic you have, what your skills are, what your motivation is within the internship and within the business is very helpful. And you never know what can come from it. And at the very least, even if no relationship ever, comes to fruition, or you don't get hired there, the experiences that you have, that you add to your bank of talent and experience and resume and skill set, can help you for the rest of your career.
Yes, 100%. Yes to all of that. So you mentioned a lot about, acquiring the necessary skill set during the internship, or even creating the necessary relationships during the internship. Can you share with us a story about how maybe you developed a strong relationship doing some sort of maybe internship work, and it kind of helped catapult your career?
Well, my first paying job that I had in the business, which was, I think, $8.50 or something an hour before taxes, was part-time producing Sid Rosenberg's show at 560 QAM. And I got the opportunity to do the internship because the program director was working at the station when I was interning there a few years before. So, it all just, they knew of me, knew of my work ethic, knew what I had already done there. And so that's how I was able to get that opportunity. And look, $8.50 an hour and part-time hours producing a local sports show may not seem like a big deal, but I still have relationships with all these people. And being in that building to do that, getting the opportunities on air that I eventually got there, doing, weekends and updates, put me in position to get the executive producer job, which was, obviously a step up in a full-time role, not a lot of money either, but a full-time role, which then put me in the building to get the opportunity to host my own show at that other radio station, which is why I'm at Fox. So and mind you, again, I've been in the business since 2007. So that's 16 years now. So nothing happens overnight. Like, that's not what you should get, what you should not want. Of course, if you're talented enough to just go straight to the top and have instant success, like, God bless you. And we love that for you. But most overnight successes were 10 years in the making. Like, I didn't just pop up at Fox like, hey, it's me. I'd like a microphone. I had done a lot of work in the business, and that's just the radio side. That's not the writing. That's not the reporting. It's not the sideline reporting. It's not the work that I did with CBSSports.com for years. Like that, none of all of that I'm even including in this journey. Like, there's patches of other experience and resume building that was going on through this vein. So yeah, I understand it can be very frustrating in the business to get a break and to get into the right position and to get seen and to get heard. And consistency is a big part of that.
Yeah.
And listen, I don't have a trust fund, despite what someone might tell you. I was bartending every night on South Beach and working 3 different jobs, and freelancing on the weekends. And, it's, no one is expected to live off of what you are getting paid when you start in the business. But I wasn't. I was doing other things. And so that was my experience and my journey. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to tell anyone else what to do. But I think there is a lot of value in trying to, establish relationships, reaching out to people. And it's so different now. I mean,
yes,
we would not be speaking 5-6 years ago. The whole media business has changed. You can have access to people and have conversations that just wasn't a thing before. Mm-hmm. I mean, when I started in the business, all of my mentors were men. All of the people mm-hmm. that gave me advice were in my proximity. So it's just a completely different world now. There's so many more groups and NEBJ, and you can reach out and ask for advice, and people are very inclined to reach back. So I just encourage people to be active, and it can get discouraging. Trust. Here's the tea though. It's discouraging on every level. It gets, you get paid more, you get bigger opportunities, bigger spaces, and then there's different problems. So, it's just like any business in life and any type of occupation, there's just always going to be new. So pick something that you're passionate about, and that makes any kind of the bit of the journey easier.
I love that. And I especially love when you said, this was not an overnight thing in the making. Like, when people look at you, they don't know that this was 16 years in the making. And I say that myself as well. Like on Instagram, yes, you may see the pictures on the field and it looks cool, but nobody was checking for me 10 years ago when I was a mascot for a minor league team, right? Or when I was making, however much. And it probably looks like, even similar to you, like, maybe people think you just popped up on Fox, but no, like you started grinding 16 years ago. My grind started 10 years ago, and it was literally a hustle. And I also come from the land of unpaid internships. So I was going to school in Delaware and driving up to Philly to the Sixers arena, just trying to figure my life out. So I love that. I love everything you just said.
Yeah, you have to see the vision of it yourself. And there's definitely gonna be times where you're like, okay, I need to just, go make sure my bills are paid. And that happened for me too. There were moments throughout the journey where I definitely got off path and, just worked in different occupations that weren't necessarily aligned with what I was doing. But mm-hmm. when I finally set my foot to the path, it's amazing looking back on it now. And I mean, man, the times where I was like, this is BS, but it's, I have such an amazing job. I'm so grateful for it. And even in the times where I'm like completely frustrated with whatever else has come up, it's, it's such a blessing to be able to do it. And yeah, I try to speak life into people about it, because it's despite everything that's happening, the business is exploding, because sports and politics are the last thing that we watch on live television. Everything mm-hmm. else is streaming. Everything else you record. You don't need to be in your seat to watch the Real Housewives show.
Yep.
Love is Blind is a series. So our consumer habits have changed so much because of on demand and streaming, that sports is an absolute premium. There's a reason why all of these sports rights these contracts are obscene, and the amount of money that is pouring into teams and every team that is sold is like 6 billion, 7 billion, just going up in price. And all of that surrounds the business as well. You have gambling. So there's a whole new stream of jobs and opportunities for people through the sports gambling sector. You have esports. You have like there's so much coverage and podcasts and YouTube and radio still and television and there's just a lot. And if you have something that you're passionate about in the space, you can really reach it. You know, it was a limited business with very few opportunities, and even fewer for women, and even fewer for Black women.
That part.
So we can say the quiet part out loud. So, you know, it's really can be very frustrating. But
taste the Mediterranean through March 19th at Whole Foods Market. Save on animal welfare certified bone and beef short ribs, sustainable wild-caught sockeye salmon, and more. Find sales on Parmigiano Reggiano, charcuterie and ground lamb. Grab an olive boule bread from the bakery. Plus, wines from the Mediterranean start at just $8.99. Taste the Mediterranean now at Whole Foods Market. Must be 21 plus. Please drink responsibly.
Especially if you are on the talent side and you're trying to, you know, get into that space. But there's a lot of outlets, and I can tell so many stories of people who just got discovered on Twitter, and now this is their career. So yeah, it's. I believe I understand the frustration for sure. I will never not understand the frustration of trying to make it in a very competitive business that can sometimes feel very flooded, but it is worth it if it's something that you're truly passionate about.
Yes, 1000%, 1000%. And you kind of started to lean into my next question, which I love. So let's talk about all things Black women in sport. Yay. Shout out to us. We're the unicorns. So for me personally, it was definitely a journey getting comfortable wearing my natural hair in the office. And mind you, this is just a couple hundred people that I have to worry about. Now, you being on the television screens, streaming to millions and millions of people, I would love to hear your story about, you know, natural hair, how you got comfortable in your own skin, and what that journey looked like for you.
So really, I started I straightened my hair for a long time. And as you know, you kind of can't even find your curl pattern after a while. Like it just kind of does what it does. And for me, doing a daily show, I was putting heat on my hair 5 days a week. And then, God forbid I'd do anything on the weekend to add to that. So it wasn't even just like a normal amount of damage, like a manageable amount of damage. Just like, that's a lot to do to your hair. So right before 2020, I stopped straightening my hair and was doing still heat, but curling it to kind of try and like bring the pattern back. Mm-hmm. But again, still styling it 5 days a week. And then COVID happened. So it gave me an opportunity. One, also because we weren't in studio for almost 4 months, I think. And when I was doing the show from home, because I was on Heard, we're doing a radio television simulcast, I had to wear this like old school radio, like headset that you would wear out at like training camp or something if you're doing a live remote. So there was no sense or point in doing anything really to my hair because I'm immediately putting this headset on. So it was like a bun or like a braid, every day for almost 4 months. But it gave me the opportunity to not put any heat on my hair to start that journey because, on a natural hair journey, you have to commit to no heat. Mm-hmm. Like you got to commit to it. And it's like, okay, but your hair is not healthy enough to style it without heat. Because it's just like, so anyway, I didn't put any heat on my hair from the start of 2020. And then I eventually just did the big chop. And that was kind of scary because it's and I had cut my hair in a pixie like years ago. So I had some experience with it, but like it was a big change, especially on air. And I've always been someone who's changed my look on air. Like I've always done like, okay, we're going to do this today. And not the traditional, broadcast of having the exact same hair every day. Because, we like to change it up. So it wasn't too dramatic as far as that goes, but it just was a big cut. And then you have, okay, well, the cut's great when it's first done, but now it's kind of grown out. So it's in like this awkward phase. And so I went through all these different changes, but, and then, did the protective styles for a while as well, and did twist and, goddess locks and, all these different styles. But for me, it was necessity. And I was like, okay, like, I'm just going to do it. Like, are people going to stop watching the show because I'm wearing curly hair? Are people going to stop watching the show because I have twists in my hair? No one's going to say anything to me about this. So yeah, like, I no longer want to damage my hair. This is like physically damaging me at this point to try and do it. And listen, I still like a nice, blowout bob every once in a while, which I've done recently. But if I want to wear my hair naturally, I'm going to do it. And it's beautiful. And I get as many compliments on my hair when it's natural as I do when it's styled with heat. And the versatility and the ability to wear our crowns in all these different ways is and should be celebrated.
Yes.
So, I fully understand very personally and emotionally the pressure of wearing your hair a certain way in order to look professional. And sure, I still get comments here and there. I don't pay attention to comments on the internet. I just have literally no time in the day. I don't, it's like, I want to communicate with y'all, but like, I just don't have time for this. You're saying nonsense. I got to go. I have so much stuff to do.
Yes.
Really do. So, but eventually, here or there, zipping through, you're going to see somebody say like that your hair is ugly or that you look crazy or, whatever, you look unprofessional. But at the end of the day, I don't get paid to be beautiful. I get paid to have really compelling thoughts about the NFL.
Yes.
And the NBA. And so as long as my mouth is making sounds that are interesting and entertaining and smart and compelling, that's the only thing that matters. So I want to present as myself. And part of presenting as myself is physically presenting as myself and what makes me feel confident and what I need to show up as. So it wasn't really meant to be a stance in a way, but it also kind of was, because it was like, well, I'm doing this. So that's what's happening.
Yeah. I love that. And so like growing up, did you have anyone that was on the TV screen that you saw and that was like your representation? Like they showed you, hey, there's room for me in this industry.
I mean, Robin Roberts obviously was someone that, gave us that space and is, still at the top of the business and is excellent. Jamel Hill for me was the main inspiration to be on the side of the business that I'm on in the opinion space, because when I got into the business way back when, I always knew I didn't want to be a reporter. Like in college, I'd have professors be like, you would be a great reporter. Like you're so, intense and, tough and all, like you'd be a great reporter. And I just always felt like being a journalist, like a true journalist, is like being a doctor or a lawyer or a teacher. Like there's a social responsibility that comes with this job. You are bringing the news to the world and you can't be biased. As much as a human can remove their bias from reporting a story, I believe journalists have that responsibility. Now we are in a very interesting time and space where the word news is being thrown around very frivolously. And now with the internet being the way that it is, like, it's very hard for people to find the truth. Like I am a trained journalist, so I know how to find something that is verified, that this place has an editor who will have to issue a retraction if any of this is untrue. Like I don't just run and say whatever I want on national television or even on my social media platforms. I think I have a responsibility, even though I don't consider myself to be a journalist, to not share fake information. So being that I hold true journalists in that high of a regard. I just like I want to react to the news. I want to give my opinion. But there was no women other than Jamel in that space.
Yeah.
And so for her, I mean, you want to talk about, natural hair and showing up as herself. And she was so powerful and so good. And it just was so seamless. It wasn't to see her there at the desk, like saying her piece and building the shows around her. I was like, now I can do that. Like I can see myself in that space because I saw her there. And, it's really unfortunate still. The opinion side is not as diverse as it needs to be when it comes to women on daily shows. But, I'm hoping that we are encouraging more women to get into that space and to be fearless. It's really it's a different side of the business entirely than analyst work or play-by-play. Like it's very unique because you're going to deal with people. People are going to hate you. Like it's just the end of the day. Like you're never going to make everybody happy. If I say something good about the Cowboys, Washington fans are going to hate me. If I say something good about Washington, Giants fans are going to hate me. So like there's a different element to the job. But to answer your question, she changed the game for me because seeing her in that space, as unapologetic as she was really powerful for me.
So does that ever bother you, the fact that, as an opinionist, like if you...
What's poppin', guys? It's Jay Jonah here from Blowing Smoke. If you're a fan of fun, insightful, and breakthrough conversations, then be sure to check out and subscribe to the Blowing Smoke podcast, a show that covers life experiences and firsthand testimonies from some of your biggest names in your favorite industries. And it's all brought to you exclusively right here by the Revolt Podcast Network, anchored in hip-hop, powered by creators.
Say something, this side is going to hate you. Like, or if you say something about this side, the other side will hate you. Does that ever like kind of get under your skin?
No, because I think that sports fans are really fans of anything that are truly passionate about it, are as passionate as they are in one direction. They are they have the same polar response to the other side, and it's like Harry Potter fans. Like I'm, House Gryffindor or whatever, you know what I mean? Like everybody has their things. So it's just an opinion. It's not the end of the world. And if I happen to be right, great. And if I don't, so what? Then you can come and yell at me about how wrong I was. And that's just the way that sports fans communicate also. Like when we're at a sports bar and like, okay, I love this guy is my top 5. How do you not have this person in your top 5? And like, that's just how we talk to each other, And so for people who aren't sports fans, they might see it as pure hostility, but that is how we talk to each other. I have a big family and we are always yelling. And when someone who comes from a small family or isn't like used to being around my family, they're like, oh my God, you guys are always yelling at each other. I'm like, well, we're not yelling at each other. We're yelling with each other. Like we have to yell because there's 25 people in the room. Yes. So, it's just the environment. There's obviously a lot of unnecessary over the top reaction and name calling and, racism and sexism that is added into this by groups and individuals who default to that. But it doesn't hurt my feelings if Cowboys fans are like, she's stupid and, why does she have a job? Like, well, let's see if you get past the divisional round this year and then maybe I can keep my job. It's not that serious and it's fun. It's like a little battle every day. And if you like that, which I do, then it really is a fun job. And I do it on the show, with the guys, and we rarely agree on anything, and that's fine. Because everybody doesn't agree on things. You like one thing, I like one thing. That doesn't make you, well, in some cases, but if we're talking about sports, you prefer this, I prefer that. Like, that's just the way it is. Everybody has their preferences and their teams and their loyalty and opinions. And that's the fun part of sports, is giving predictions, finding out if you're right, picking things and being loyal and experiencing things and being able to say you were there, or say that you've suffered through the 30 years of no winning and now you get to, climb to the top of the mountain with your team. So it's fun for me.
Exactly. It's all fun and games.
It is literally all games at the end of the day. We are not saving lives.
Exactly. So here on the Success Playbook podcast, we know that taking L's or failure, adversity, etc., is something that drives us closer to our journeys of success. So I would love if you can share one example of an L you may have taken and how it helped shape you into who you are today.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've taken a lot of L's, a lot of L's, but I agree. I think in some, athletes say it a lot that you remember the losses more than the wins. And I think competitive people or people that are in particularly hyper competitive industries can feel those losses maybe a bit more because it can change the course of things in a very impactful way, and it can change legacies and change history if you're talking about athletes. But I think the point of that statement is failure has a very impactful energy on people, and how you handle failure, how you pivot from failure, how you compartmentalize failure, how you remember failure can really affect you in a very profound way. So, yeah, I mean, I can think of a lot of times that I've been told no or something has happened. One particular one was I was ready to make a transition from just producing to doing more on-air work. And I had gotten an opportunity to do updates at the radio station, and I can't tell the whole story in its entirety, but basically what happened is I was told I was not ready. And I felt that I was ready. And it was very frustrating for me. And I was already doing the job, so I was actually ready. But I took it as, okay, if this place doesn't see me in that light, then I need to be somewhere that does see me in that light. So I'm not going to overreact. I'm not going to just like quit my job or freak out, but I am going to start looking for more opportunities in other places. I've been getting too comfortable here. This is the universe's nudge that it's time to start getting active again. Mm-hmm. And so I did, and I was blessed to get another opportunity, and it ended up being a better opportunity, and it positioned me for a better opportunity, which positioned me to get to Fox. So had I taken that L, had I taken that no, and, said, okay, well, they're right, and I need to do more of this, or I'm not ready, or, okay, I'm just, I think I'm ready, but I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, maybe we wouldn't even be talking right now. Mm-hmm. But it's important that the reality is you're going to be told no all the time. I get told no all the time. Still today, I have something going on, projects coming down. There's something that we're working on. It's no. Sure. They're all just doors closing and positioning you for what you're supposed to be doing. It's really hard to flip your mind to believing that and accepting it. And sometimes they really hurt because you put a lot of work into it and you really want it, and it's just no, and it's not even fair. And it's it was a relationship that somebody else had that got them in, or, they gave the job to, their nephew or whatever. There's really unfair things that happen throughout the course of your career. But man, thank God that happened. I'm so grateful that happened, because I was so mad and I was so frustrated, and I'm a Capricorn, so I don't cry in public. So if I cry in public, I'm either something horrible has happened, or I'm trying to attempt from being violent and it's internalizing as tears. I was upset, but it was one of the best things that ever happened to me was that no, it really was just like a hard break and just turned the wheel in a totally other direction, in a better direction. And it's just been going up since then. So yes. Yeah, I mean, it's really important. Luckily for me, I was able to very quickly compartmentalize that L, because I got the next job, which was way better and more money and all these other things. Sometimes it takes a little longer to reflect back and see oh, okay, Good thing I didn't get that job. I thought I wanted to get in that part of the business. Turns out they just shut that whole department down. There's all these different things that happen. And, it's okay to be upset. Don't let anyone tell you like, oh, get over it, let it go. It's okay to process even the smallest amount of grief, even the grief of being told no. It's okay to live in that for a day or two, to have a glass of wine and pout. It's okay to feel things, but don't let it become so much of a part of your journey that you stop trying or that you grow resentful, because there's so much more out there for you. And you're never going to stop hearing no. It's just that the yeses are going to become more important. And that's how you have to accept this inevitable part of life. Everyone's not going to say yes to you.
Hashtag bars. I love that. Everyone's not going to say yes to you. And you're not going to never.
You don't want everyone's yes. Why would you want to be for everyone? It's like when people are like, are you mad people don't like you? I'm like, what a blessing. Oh my God. Thank God everyone doesn't like me. Why would I want to be liked by everyone? First of all, it's impossible. And that sounds exhausting.
Yes.
And there are legitimately people I don't want to like me. Like, I want you to feel animosity about who I am and what I represent and what I stand for. You should be feeling heat about who I am. There are certain groups of people that should feel that way.
100%.
Be mad. So yes, like it's a blessing to not be for everyone and for everything.
Yes.
And you are special and unique, and you have amazing things that are coming for you. And I mean, God forbid it's blocked because you got tunnel vision on this opportunity or this thing or this person or this job or, whatever, this project. And you have all these amazing things that are coming for you.
This episode is brought to you by Pepsi Wild Cherry. Pepsi Wild Cherry is bursting with delicious cherry flavor and a sweet, crisp taste that gives you more to go wild for. Getting wild may look different these days, but whether it's opting for a solo Friday binge watch or a big night out, everyone can indulge in their wild side with Pepsi Wild Cherry. Also available in Zero Sugar. So grab a Pepsi Wild Cherry and get wild.
And you're obsessed with this one no.
Yes. I receive all of that. That was a whole word. Thank you for those gems. With our last question as we wrap up, so what advice would you give to other Black women out there who are aspiring to get into the sport industry?
The most important thing is to be yourself. Don't feel that you need to be anyone else, that you need to mirror what other people are doing. I always encourage people to pull inspiration from other things. Nothing's new. It's a saying in the business. Nothing is new. And I just had a conversation last night and repeated those words, because sometimes we feel so much pressure to like stand out in this completely, we have to invent something. We have to, create this whole new role or lane. Like, all the shows, you see it, you see the framework. Like, what works. So if there's some TikTok trend that somebody's doing that you feel like, oh, I could do that. I could be consistent with that. Or I like this style of content. Like, I'm going to do, quick cuts, or I really like to monologue. I'm going to do monologues, whatever it is. However you live your life, whatever your personality is, whatever makes you unique, lean into that. You don't need to be anybody else, because really you're going to be best at being yourself. Mm-hmm. And sometimes there's this pressure to appear, to show up, to speak like. None of that matters. You're excellent as you are. So be yourself and be confident in yourself, and don't apologize for anything. Don't apologize. Do not say I'm sorry. You're not sorry. I'm not sorry. I'm literally not sorry. So like, I don't know what to tell you. I'm absolutely not sorry. So you can do with that what you want. I am not sorry. Okay. And you won't be getting those words from me. So be unapologetic about who you are and be consistent. Whatever. Yeah. Everyone who's trying to get in the business, I give the same advice, which is take the time to decide what it is you want to do. I am a firm believer in goals. I don't think if you're not aiming at anything, where do you expect to land?
Yeah.
What do you want to do? And it doesn't mean that you have to do that forever, but if you don't have any idea, no one can help you. You can't go to someone and be like, hey, I would like a job in the sports business. Like, doing what?
Yes.
I don't know, like anything. Do you want to be an agent? Do you want to be a mascot? Do you want to be an opinionist? Do you want to work in the front office? Do you want to run a cheerleading squad? Do you want to work in marketing or ticket sales? Like, literally, we could go on for the next 2 hours with the jobs. What do you want to do? And it's okay to not be sure, but take the time to think about it, shadow people, reach out, discuss what would make you happy? What are you passionate about? And really don't be afraid to say, I want to do this. I always said, I want to be on air as an opinionist. I want to be an opinionist. I want to be Stephen A. I want to be Skip Bayless. I want to be Colin Cowherd. I want to be Michael Wilbon. I want to be an opinionist on air. And Jamel Hill. I want to be Jamel Hill. That's what I want to do. So it helped people when they were like, oh, well, we have this, this job. Like, that doesn't help me get there. Thank you. But no, that's not going to help me get where I need to go. And sometimes maybe the job wasn't exactly what I wanted to do, but it would help me develop skills for what I eventually want to do. So it also helps you align your goals, what internships you take, what mentors you reach out to, what kind of first job you're looking for, what extra opportunities you're getting involved in, what groups you sign up for. Like, all of these things can help align and take you to the next level when you're putting your energy into one particular goal. And maybe you reach it and you're like, okay, I've done this for 3 years. I want to get into this side of the business now. Cool. But having goals is really important. So that's just an overall general for whoever is trying to get into the business, especially our business, because like I said, it's so broad and there's so many different areas of the business that you can get into and be very successful. But it really helps to know what you want to do, even on air, what part of on air you want to do. Because I mean, everything is not going to make everybody happy. Maybe you don't want to do play-by-play. So like, if someone's offering you a play-by-play job, but you don't want to do that, that's not helpful to you. You know? So it's important to know what you want to do. But for Black women specifically, be unapologetic. Do not say I'm sorry for being in a space that you absolutely belong in, and be authentic to who you are and what you want, because you are unique and special and powerful enough just as you are. And that is actually what's going to separate you from everyone else, is what makes you unique. You don't want to have to come in and that's exhausting. As exhausting in a relationship, in a friendship, with a relationship with family members, like being somebody that you're not, eventually you're just like, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to be me. So you're going to be most successful in that space.
I love it. Thank you for that great advice.
Of course.
How can we support you? How can we continue to support you?
Please watch the show Speak on FS1. We're coming up on football season, so we are about to be in full gear for the NFL season. Speak on FS1, 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 1:30 Pacific, and you can follow me on social media at Joy Taylor Talks and my foundation at Joy T Foundation. We have some stuff coming up that's I'm pretty excited about, and any new announcements will be on those channels. But I really appreciate talking to you. This was wonderful. Thank you for having me.
Same here. Listen, you are a new family of the pod, so you're welcome back anytime.
Love that.
All right. Thank you, Joy.
Thank you.
What's up, y'all? This is Clint Coley, and I'm the host of the Music is a Love Language podcast. Now, check this out. If you're a fan of music podcasts, then be sure to check out and subscribe to Music is a Love Language podcast. We are a podcast that has honest conversations about music all day, every day. If you like to argue music, this is the podcast you want to be listened to. And it's brought to you exclusively by the Revolt Podcast Network, anchored in hip hop and powered by creators. Again, make sure you guys follow and subscribe. Music is the Love Language podcast. I'm Clint Coley. Hope to have your ear soon.